So, guys, if you guys don't understand the magnitude of how big a partnership with Chainlink is, some of you guys weren't familiar with Chainlink. I know there's a lot of new people that's coming into crypto, and you guys were fortunate enough to find the animal farm, to find drip. You guys are fortunate because when people come into crypto, they normally just get wrecked. But the magnitude of a Chainlink partnership and co promotion puts us in a different category compared to a lot of things around us. And remember, Chainlink, we're talking about a top 25 protocol, multi-billion dollar entity. So this is a massive, it puts us in a different category. Now we can say, hey, we're partnered with Chainlink. That gives us higher notoriety in the crypto space. It puts us in a different league. We can use that as leverage for other partnerships and say, hey, we got a partnership with Chainlink also. It allows us to also have opportunities to build further in our ecosystem to be able to create true randomness and a lot of different things that we can develop. So that's super bullish. So make sure you guys process that correctly. Don't, you see Chainlink, don't let it pass you. That's very, very extremely bullish. And it'll take us to a whole nother level as far as who we are. We're talking about the fastest growing ecosystem in crypto. Name another ecosystem that's growing faster than us. Nobody, right? In such a short amount of time. So this is extremely bullish for what we got going on. And then that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we have there's a list of partnerships and different inquiries that we haven't even gone through yet.
Yeah, since we've published the form that allows people to submit for partnerships, we have dozens of them that we're going through right now. Of course, we're going to end up saying no to a lot of them because we only want the best, but there's a lot of opportunity right now. And understand that there's a lot of projects that have Chainlink on their site. They say that, they're working with Chainlink or whatever the case is, but they're just essentially utilizing one of Chainlink's functions in their system. And then they plaster Chainlink all over. They don't have true partnerships. This is a true partnership that we have with Chainlink that we're securing, that will they're on board with, that they'll be promoting. They'll be putting us on their website. They'll be writing about drip on their social media and promoting us to all their following. So they reached out to us.
Wow.
Like this isn't us just saying we want some price feeds. We'll use Chainlink, and then we put Chainlink all over our website. They reached out to us. They said that their chief technical officer read our white paper. They said they went on our Twitter. They see the engagement that we have. They see our growth, and they want to know how they can assist us in a way that allows for a co-promotion opportunity. And right now, the easiest thing is to utilize their price feeds, because that's something that we can start doing instantly. That's like low-hanging fruit. But it allows us to establish a connection with them and show them that we can bring a lot of value to them by doing a co-promotion, and we can utilize their system well. And that gives us a foothold to now go on to the next thing, which is going to be a game. And there are 2 games that we've been working on. One of them I've been working on for literally years, and it's a passive type of game where essentially it has a hacker type of theme where you're essentially operating a botnet that's being spread through servers, and you're trying to take control of as many servers as possible. And this is a type of passive element of the game. And then there's also active elements of the game where you can attack other members in the game to take control of their servers. And this is something that I've been working on for a long time, and it's already developed. But what we were waiting for is Solana to become EVM compatible. And this is because it's too expensive to do it on ETH. ETH is too slow, it's too congested. We were going to do it on BSC, but BSC has some hangups as far as the way that they handle their NFTs and their NFT infrastructure. So we decided we would do it with Solana when they become EVM compatible. Now Solana is really dragging their feet with being EVM compatible. So we're looking at other options, and there's a few side chains that are that have reached out to us that want us to utilize their side chains, and they're willing to put a multi-million-dollar marketing budget behind our game if we utilize their network. Essentially, if we launch on their network, and because NFTs are very easy to do cross-chain, essentially you have one asset on a server that's called from both chains. This allows us to integrate Drip and integrate the Animal Farm and our other protocols on Binance Smart Chain into the game while having the game as a whole and the core contracts and the majority of the contracts running on some other side chain, whether it be Solana or one of these other networks that are reaching out to us right now, trying to get us to launch on there. So there's this NFT game, the one that I've been working on for a while. And then there's another game that I'm very interested in developing. It's based on a non-blockchain game that is basically, it's an extremely addictive, extremely fun, but also a game that's simple enough that you can recreate it on a blockchain and create a very cool play to earn mechanism behind it. And I believe that it has the potential to be the largest NFT game in crypto. And I already hired a game dev now to start reverse engineering this game that's not blockchain based. And essentially, I want to use its core mechanics as a foundation that we can start building off of, add play to earn functions, have all the assets be represented by NFTs, have it be fully blockchain based, utilize Chainlink to create randomness, because the game has a an element where you roll dice to determine which assets you get, and then each asset is essentially either a character or an item. The characters have attack and defense values, and you can use the items to either adjust the attack or defense values, or put some sort of multiplier on them, or some different function that will allow the attack or defense values to adjust based on the decisions you make in the game. And also, these characters, you can essentially stack them to evolve, and when they evolve, it changes the way these attack and defense values adjust as well. And this is a game that is actually extremely popular right now and is really blowing up, not even utilizing a play to earn function or being blockchain based. It's a mobile app, and it's available on Steam and a browser based, but it's very it's a game that's really blowing up, like on YouTube and all over the place. A lot of people find it extremely fun and extremely addictive, and I believe that we can utilize these core mechanics as a foundation to really build something massive. And you know, I could spend the next few months or whatever going over all the mechanics of the game and mapping out all of the functions and mechanics to then start recreating it in a contract. But myself and my partner devs, we want to put all our full energy into the Animal Farm and into Drip. So I don't want to be spending, and I'm not going to be spending the next few months reverse engineering this game. So I reached out to a game dev that I know that makes ROM hacks, and he makes very, very high end ROM hacks, which are essentially games like, it could be whatever, Super Mario 64 or whatever the game is, and he's able to reverse engineer their engine and their code base, and then create his own assets, his own mechanics, his own levels, and basically create original games from the engines and from the mechanics of existing games. So he's the perfect person to start reverse engineering this blockchain game. And so essentially I hired him. I hired him in a way where we don't have to get into the details of it, but essentially I put capital in an escrow, and if he gives me a full mapping of the mechanics of the game and the source code that can reenact all of the mechanics of the game, then those funds will be released from escrow to him, and then we have everything we need to build the game. So so I did it this way. This way, I'm not spending our time and resources reverse engineering some future thing to come. So I can focus on what we're doing right now, building and promoting for Drip and the Animal Farm. But I'm allocating some of our capital, behind the scenes to have other developers building things. So if they do deliver, we're ready to go, and we have another thing to launch. And I'm really focusing now on utilizing our capital and utilizing our resources in this way to make the most of them, and contracting out as much work as I can. This way, I'm not taking energy or time or resources away from the existing projects we have going right now.
Forex, I wanted to ask you this question, right? Regarding the games. Have you ever considered attaching a DEX, an AMM DEX to one of the games in a way like how, I don't know if you ever saw DeFi Kingdoms or, those type of platforms, having a DEX associated with the game. So that way there's an incentive for people to add liquidity maybe, and also add it into the game mechanics as well.
Okay, so the first game that I was talking about that I built already, the hacker themed game, this has mechanics similar to the Drip Garden, in the sense, in only one sense, but in the sense that the tokens and the liquidity are all held within a contract. So it's not a game where it has tokens that are withdrawable from the system. So essentially, the way it works is you deposit BNB or BUSD, and this allows you to buy a botnet. This botnet can then be deployed in the game, which the game is essentially a simulation of the internet, and you can start infecting servers passively as your botnet is spread through the system. Now, you can buy additional tools by trading or renting out access to these servers that you've infected on a market. It looks like a dark web market, but essentially it's a market where you can buy items. All of these items are represented by NFTs, and some of these items are available to purchase with BNB or BUSD. Some of them you can trade. You can trade your servers for them, and some of them are only available for purchase with Drip. So as these so then you can use these items to either add power to your botnet and its ability to spread and infect servers, or you can use them to attack and build up defenses against other players. So you can attack other players in the game, infect their servers, and you can build up firewalls around your servers to help protect yours. Now, these servers can be sold in the market for BNB or BUSD, and this is essentially how you cash out of the game. So it has a exchange type of mechanism, but it's all held internal to the core contracts. It's not tokens that are withdrawable from the system. So so for that specific game, there isn't a need for something like that. For the other game that I was talking about, that I have a dev reverse engineering right now, that is something that I would be totally open to. And we're at basically the beginning points of this game, coming up with the different mechanics. Really, like, we're at a fundamental, foundational level of it right now. So I'm open to like any kind of suggestions and opportunities.
All right, we're gonna save the sauce on that one for behind the scenes for sure, because these guys, they hear an idea and then they want to go make a token. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with these games, I'm not interested in creating a new token. I'm interested in creating more value for our existing tokens. So we'll
Awesome.
utilize the existing tokens that we already have in these games. And then we'll also allow for purchases to be done in BUSD or BNB, because we can then take this BUSD and BNB and use it as a cash flow to help support our existing tokens. So this is what I'm interested in doing. I'm not interested in developing or launching any more tokens. We have our tokens. Now it's about developing use cases and utility and platforms for them.
Here's another question. Going back to that Dex thing, right? But in regard to Animal Farm, do you think that maybe a chain link, some chain link assistance would help us if we were to want to create our own Dex on Animal Farm to be able to get the analytics that we need for Gecko and for Coin Market Cap and all of that?
Yeah, well, we have the ability to pull price data and all this stuff from CoinGecko and CoinMarket. We do use CoinMarketCap, and right now there's no price data feed that determines what an exchange rate is going to be, what the dividend payout is going to be. Nothing. There's no like fundamental importance to the prices that we pull from CoinMarketCap. If there was importance to it, like these prices that we pull up CoinMarketCap, we're going to be determining what the payout should be, like what Bunny did, right? Bunny was pulling their price data from one single point, and that was determining how much Bunny you got paid out. Now that allowed for someone to do a flash loan to increase the value of the assets they had staked, allowing them to claim a ton of Bunny, and then basically do a flash loan attack of the system. We don't have any kind of vulnerability like that because we're not determining what the devs are or what the exchange rate should be, or any kind of fundamental pricing value from a single oracle like that, like a single point of failure. We're not pulling it from PancakeSwap or from CoinMarketCap or anything like that. Our dividend model and our exchange rate model isn't based on anything like that. So one thing I am interested in though, as far as exchanges, is with Drip. So Drip, we already have an exchange, and I am interested in the future in servicing other tokens, and essentially opening up our decks, our fountain decks on Drip, to allow people to trade other tokens, and we would incentivize people to add liquidity to these tokens using contracts similar to our reservoir contract. And when people trade these other tokens, a percentage of these trades, like a liquidity provider fee, would go to the people in this contract, similar to a reservoir contract, the liquidity providers, and a portion would be a cash flow that's going into Drip, buying Drip and sending it to the tax vault. That is something that I want to do, and I wouldn't just do it without making some major improvement in PancakeSwap, because I'm not interested in doing essentially a clone of PancakeSwap that has some additional interesting contracts attached to it. If I do something like this, I want to add innovation to the DEX itself. Things such as limit orders, such as stocks.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. I basically want to take all of the awesome mechanics that you get with the centralized exchange and making it available to a DEX. And we would have to utilize Chainlink to do it. And that's something that I spoke with them about today that I am interested in doing. Another thing that I spoke with them about is a project that I talked about a long time ago that I was interested in doing, which is a type of contract that gives exposure to major stock indexes like the S&P 500 and the Dow, the Dow Jones, and these other. And that's something else I spoke with them about today as well. So having a true partnership with Chainlink opens up so many doors to us as far as development and getting promotion and funding. So it costs to have to utilize like randomness in Chainlink, for example, to get a random value generated from Chainlink, you have to spend some capital to do that. And having a true partnership with them allows for the kind of sponsorship that we would need to not pass that cost on to investors. Essentially, they would sponsor us a certain amount of link that would be used to pay the fee. This way, it's not being paid through our user base, and they would be willing to do this because we would be showing the market a new and innovative way to utilize Chainlink, which is something they're very interested in, and bringing a bunch of new users to Chainlink. So, yeah, there's a ton of opportunities. Chainlink is one of the biggest partnership opportunities we have, and they're like ready to go now with it. So that's why some of the other partnerships that we have lined up, I've pushed them back so we can handle this right away. But there's the two big partnerships that we're basically ready to go with are Chainlink and Loot. And Loot is going to be a massive cross-chain NFT protocol that will give utility to the NFTs both on the Drip network and the Loot metaverse. And that's going to be massive as well, because that's another major platform in the space that's innovating. I believe that they have the innovation and the integrity to take over the space that OpenSea holds as the leader of NFTs in crypto, because OpenSea has proven to not have the integrity and security that I believe a platform needs to have to be an industry leader. I've worked with them in the past and didn't have a positive experience with them. Well, I'm not the only one. There was a lot of this was back when I was advising other projects, and essentially what OpenSea did was they decided overnight that they were going to launch an update, and when they did, it made all of the storefront APIs that people use to have an NFT storefront on their site, it broke all of them. And that should have been something that OpenSea would have seen. This was a couple of years ago. This is something that a team like OpenSea should have known and shouldn't have just announced overnight without even letting their people that are developing with their API know about it. And then after everything broke, they said they would get it fixed in a weekend, and ended up taking them like 3 weeks to fix. And then when they fixed it, they then said that all NFTs that weren't deemed as collectibles, if you're using NFTs as a type of financial instrument, then they were gonna not allow you to sell your collection on the site or use their API. So this then invalidated a ton of projects and like destroyed their use case and really just messed up a ton of projects. And this was early on. This is like almost 2 years ago. And ever since then, I had a bit of a bad taste in my mouth about working with OpenSea. And this is one of the reasons why I haven't done an NFT project with OpenSea, utilizing OpenSea. I pretty much vowed to never work with them again. And then since then, they've had multiple security breaches. They've had high up members of their team, get caught doing insider trading, where essentially they're buying the NFTs before it goes live on their site and then selling them for inflated prices before it goes live. This is like blatant insider trading that is extremely negative to the space. And of course, we don't have insider trading type of regulations. And I don't believe there should be insider trading regulation, because I believe the market itself has mechanics to handle this. If, for example, the reason why I never do any kind of insider trading and my team doesn't do any kind of insider trading is because we know the market is not dumb, and they will realize this, and eventually they will stop buying our assets. So, for example, if before I make an announcement, every time before I make an announcement, the price does a massive, 20% pump, and then I make the announcement, buyers come in, and then there's a big sell, and that happens over and over and over again, eventually people will say, all right, well, this is obviously insider manipulation. I'm done buying this project. I'm done getting wrecked by them. And smart developers know this, so they don't do this kind of insider trading. And this is the reason why I don't even reward myself in dev fees in the native tokens, because I never end up selling them. So it's not even something that I'm interested in getting paid out in my own tokens. So I understand this, and good developers understand this, but OpenSea has done this over and over and over again. And I believe the market will correct for this, and people will just stop being interested in using OpenSea. All the security flaws that they've had, all the the insider trading shenanigans, the crazy centralization where they decide overnight they're going to make a change that's going to destroy all of their APIs, everybody utilizing their storefronts. It's so this is why I think that there's space here for a major NFT platform that is truly doing innovation, that has integrity to take their place. And I'm working right now in a partnership with Loot, because I believe that they have the potential to do this, and they're extremely interested in working with us because they see the innovation we're doing in the space, and they know that if we work together, we can do something massive together. And they have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, which they're willing to put behind any kind of partnership we do. They have a bunch of traditional market connections. They were just on CNBC and all of these connections, and they have they're incorporated. They have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, and we have a strong marketing budget. But I think more importantly, we have the community, and we have the YouTubers, and we have the team leaders, and we have the incentives and the game theory to really do a massive community push and like a guerrilla marketing push. And they see that, so that's why again they reached out to us. I'm doing very little of reaching out to other teams for partnerships, because we have the biggest teams in crypto reaching out to us right now for partnerships, and I'm spending every day in meetings with them, trying to work out and negotiate deals with them. And then we have all of the people that have filled out the form, which is dozens, for partnerships for Animal Farm and Drip. And some of them are cool. Some of them are real cool. Some of them are people just looking to take advantage of our momentum and all that. So, it's just going to be a process of going through them. But there's no limitation at all on the potential and the future that we have as far as partnerships and development. Like, we have more than we can handle right now. And that's why I just brought on another dev. So he's a solid dev. I've worked with him in the past for when I was doing some advisory role. He actually handled quality control at Certic for a while. He left Certic, which is something that I'm not a big fan of Certic, and he ended up leaving Certic.
It's awesome because we get to know at least what meets their standards, so that way we can cross our T's and dot our I's on everything, plus do the excellent development work that we normally do.
Yeah, so basically he did quality control with Certic, but they used him as a third party. So when they would do their own internal audits in their company, they would then reach out to third parties to do a third party review of their contracts. And this is work that he did with them. And he moved on to launch some of his own stuff and essentially build projects for other development teams. But he's very, very high skilled, and he's someone that I know is trustworthy. But also, since he's new to the team, we're not putting him in a situation where we need to trust him. Essentially, we're putting him in a situation where he writes code. It's then reviewed by me and my partner to ensure everything is correct. And then basically he's helping us lighten the load a bit, which is important because now we only have so many resources and we're trying to do so much. So we need to bring on additional hands to help us do that. That way we can continue to build without taking attention and resources away from our existing projects. So we're extremely dedicated to that. And anybody that's been a part of my project for the past couple of years knows that I don't abandon existing projects. I continue to develop and I continue to build onto them where it's possible. So, I could, of course, just decide to move on and start building other things. I'm not willing to do that. This is why I'm hiring other members of the team to help us, to help us continue to develop while maintaining the attention that we have on existing contracts.
So this is a good question that I had on my mind too. How can we set up how will we set up processes for not only a more organized way for partnership inquiries, but also for people who have skills? Because we get people all the time, yo, Ray, I have this skill set, that set, and the third. How can we organize a way for people to inquire with their skill sets as a way to contribute to the team, or to be selected for the team? Like, how can we organize that process? Right.
All right. So we have a forum both on the Animal Farm site and on the Drip site. Utilize the one on the Drip site because that's the one that I've been looking at the most, and that will allow you to submit for partnerships. And this isn't just for like project partnerships. You can also submit if you want to either partner with our team from the standpoint of development, or even be a part of the team moving forward. And I'm not going to see if you DM me because I literally get thousands of DMs a day and it's impossible for me to keep on them. But if you fill out the form on the Drip site and you let one of the admins know that you filled out the form and give a quick overview of what you can provide for the team, they'll get it to me and then I'll go over the form and we'll get back to you. So definitely feel free. We're always looking for new people. I would say if we have one thing that we're interested in bringing on right now, it would be strong React devs that are good at web design. So if you're a strong web design dev that understands React, we might have an opportunity for you. We have so much that we're trying to build. We're going to be doing a complete UI overhaul of Drip, not just to make it more attractive, but also to take advantage of search engine optimization. Currently, right now, when you search Drip on Google, Drip Crypto, or maybe actually, no, not even Drip Crypto, you just search the word Drip on Google. Our website is third, so it will come up third, and our Twitter account will come up fourth. This is huge, right? Drip is a common term that people use both in slang talk, but also just in people use the word drip. It's a common word. So for us to come up third and fourth in search options, search results on Google, that's huge, and that's without putting any major focus on search engine optimization. I know that if we put our focus on search engine optimization when we build up the new UI, we will be ranked number 1 and number 2, with our number 1 being our website, number 2 being our Twitter account on Google. So this is one of the reasons why we're going to do a UI overhaul. And also, I want to create the UI for Drip to look like any high standard banking website, like a TD Ameritrade, or Thinkorswim, or Charles Schwab, or one of these major investment bank websites. They've put billions of dollars over the years into researching how to get people to, click the links on their site, utilize the products on their site, get attention to their site, show reviews, testimonies, all of these things, and they have it down to a science. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I believe that a lot of people in crypto, they either try to reinvent the wheel or they just copy what other people in crypto are doing. I think that's a bit of a mistake, and I'm learning as I go, as we all are. And I now believe that it's a mistake to essentially launch a crypto project with the type of UI that is common in other crypto projects. I believe that we should be utilizing the same templates that major investment banks use, because there's a reason why they use these templates. and it's to get people to use their financial products. And this is the new UI we develop will be utilizing this type of template, focusing on having a high value website, and also a website that is taking advantage of search engine optimization. So that's something that we're going to be working on, and we can do it on our own in-house. But like I said, we are looking to branch out and hire to try to lighten the load a bit, so we can put all our resources into the existing projects and continue development. So if you are a good web dev that understands React, then feel free to fill out a form, then reach out to an admin, and he'll get it to us.
So Forex, here's another question, right? What about, okay, so people who want to build things for Drip as far as protocols, right? If they want support, they should hit that partnership inquiry, right? They should ask, and then maybe potentially we can guide them to be able to do something for Drip. But what about guys who maybe they don't necessarily need the cosign, they just want to build something? What kind of advice would you give them to say, okay, if you're going to build something, you don't want to wait around for us to check partnership inquiries, at least follow this format, so maybe later on, once you've built something, maybe we could support you, or at least give you some type of shine, as long as you do these things accordingly. What do you think, like on a basic level, like developers out there or people trying to build things for Drip or even for Animal Farm, what should they, how should they organize or set up?
Yeah. All right. So you're going to want to stick with the spirit of the project. So Drip and the Drip platform has no dev fee. That doesn't mean that you can't put a dev fee on it, on your project. And of course, things need to be paid for. So we understand having a dev fee, but don't put a dev fee that's a percentage of every transaction, like 1% of every transaction, because that adds up so fast, and it's so against the spirit of something that we would build. When you have when you do a percentage of every transaction, for example, even if it's 1%, if it's a functional project, right, that has volume and is doing well, it will typically do equal to or greater than what the locked liquidity is in volume every day. Usually greater, especially on launch. So if you're at launch, oftentimes you'll do 5 or 10 times what in volume what the total locked liquidity is. So if you're having a percentage that's a percentage of every trade going to the developers, say 1%, and you're doing 5 or 10x what the liquidity pool in volume is every day, that means every day the developers are getting 5-10% of the total supply, and that snowballs and adds up so quick. And then all right, so let me break into sections. That's for one, right? Stick with the spirit of the project, right? It's supposed to be a community project, low or no dev fees. If there are dev fees, they should be to pay for the project to be functional. They shouldn't be allowing for one entity to accumulate the vast majority of the tokens. Secondly, if you're utilizing a type of dev fee to pay for things like such as marketing or audits or whatever, it shouldn't come at the expense of the token. You shouldn't need to sell the token in order to pay for marketing or pay for audits or whatever, because you're building in sell pressure. So you never want to build in sell pressure to the protocol as a way to pay for things. So I would say that's also something that's important. And then just security, right? You're gonna want to test it, and you're gonna want to understand every single mechanic of the system. There was a project that launched. I'm not going to pick on them. I'm not going to bring them up, but they launched, and it was buying Drip on every transaction, but it was only buying drip because a public function was had drip's address in it. But it was a public function that anybody could change. So when you have something like this, it's very easy for anybody to just change that address to a scam token, and then do a type of flash loan attack where the liquidity is then used to buy the scam token that cannot be sold or can only be sold by the owner of the scam token. And now you've just had the project be exploited. And since it's a project built on drip, that's going to get a lot of attention from the drip community. And the last thing I want is for some devs that don't know what they're doing to launch something that's going to get the drip community wrecked. So have your security on point. Be with the spirit of the project. I would say removing drip tokens from circulation should be something that the protocol does.
On like a small percentage, right? That will always be great.
Yeah, so if the protocol is removing drip tokens from circulation, whether that's sending it to the tax pool or burning them or whatever, it makes sense to send to the tax pool. If the dev fee is with the spirit of the project and it's not like some crazy centralization, if the code is secure and all of that is on point, then I can be on board with it. And also, I would say don't launch on the same day or 2 days away or the same week when Drip is launching a major protocol. For example, we're launching the Animal Farm. The Animal Farm launch date was available and known for weeks. If you're going to be launching something that is going to be drawing attention from the Drip community, which is fine as long as it's going to benefit Drip, don't do it in the same week or the same day or whatever, or 2 or 3 days away from when we're launching a major project for Drip.
Have some courtesy, guys, please.
Yeah. Because then you're gonna split attention. Yeah. So like it's just like those are some basic things, but I think they're basically common sense. And if you have some common sense, then you should be fine. Now, it is best that you reach out. Like it's all open source code, so anybody can do whatever they want. If you do plan on building something utilizing Drip, it would be good to reach out. Whether you reach out or not, as long as you basically follow the basic principles that I just went over, it's gonna be fine. And we'll probably promote you. We'll probably send people over to you. It's all good. Yeah. But if you reach out to us, then we can plan with you. We can organize the launch around when it makes sense for us. Mm-hmm. We can build up some hype for you. We can audit your code to make sure your code is secure and all that lines up. And we'll work with you. So it's much better if you reach out. But whether you reach out or not, I understand that some people might not want to reach out because they just want to launch it. They want it to be successful. And then after it's successful, they'll come to us and say, look what we did. Can you back us or whatever? And that's fine if that's what you choose to do. But if you want us to be backing you like from day one, then reach out. Sure.
It's better. You're going to get so much more attention for your project. You guys want to rush. Just wait a little bit. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. And then, take a little time. And then we'll be able to take a look at the project and see what's going on. And then you're going to get the proper cosign. Once you get the Forex Shark cosign, you're going to bring millions and millions and millions of dollars to your project. Plus, it's going to be bullish for Drip, which you're most likely an investor in anyway. So it just makes sense for everything that we got going on.
Yeah, and we can help you raise capital as well in the pre-sale. Like we can do the pre-sale in the DAO. And that's going to get a lot of strong hands and like strong community supporters in your project from day one. So
here's a great point. A better shot. You guys have a better shot out there. You developers out there, join the DAO. Once you join the DAO, you make yourself a known member of the community. Once you're in the DAO, now you have, some direct dialogue with some of the heavy hitters in the community. So now you can get, that dialogue. Hey, Forex, I'm working on this. It's easier for you to get there going through the DAO as a developer. That's a hint for you guys out there.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to speak to everybody, but like I said, we got like 60,000 people in the Animal Farm group. I get thousands of DMs every day, so it's just impossible. If you're a member of the DAO, you're in a group with just a few hundred people. So it makes it much easier for me and the other admins to see your posts. So that's what it's for, right? It's the DAO is it's to get access, both access to information and the ability to share information, and also access to deals like pre-sale deals that we have coming up and stuff like that. So when we do the NFT project, there will be some exclusive NFTs that are only available to DAO members. So we're always creating new benefits for being a member of the DAO, and people that are part of Drip and part of the Animal Farm should appreciate this, because the DAO is it's called the Reap DAO, and this is in order to be in the Reap DAO, you have to hold Reap tokens, which is the first project that I launched about 2 years ago. So this is just another example of how we continue to build and continue to create value for tokens, even the one that I launched 2 years ago. That was the first project I ever launched. We continue to build value for it. And if you look at the price of the Reap token, it was at something like $4, like, a year ago or whatever. It's up to like $120 right now, or somewhere around there. So, we're just continuing to create value for it, and it's really something that I believe strongly in, and that I'm going to continue doing for all of the projects that I have going, Drip and Animal Farm. So let's talk about the piggy bank. Let's get into
All right, cool.
questions about the
Yeah,
piggy bank if you have them.
for sure. Wait, before we get into that one, this is very, very, very important, and it leads into the piggy bank. Well, I think the community is very curious to know about what happens when the tokens like pig token and dog token go into deflationary mode. Like, how does that
Okay.
process work, and how does it come
Okay.
back up? Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Then we could get into it. Yep.
So if you are paying attention to the calls channel, you'll see that over $450,000 worth of pigs were sent to a burn address today. This amount of pigs that's being sent to the burn address is growing every single day, and it's being created by the taxes on the tokens and the deposit fees that are coming into the farm, and also the APY that's being generated through the collateral rehypothecation, which is about 30 to 40% of all the APY. Of all the locked TVL on the farm. So all of these different cash flows are buying pigs and buying dogs, and they're being sent either directly to a burn address, or they're being sent to the deployer address that then sends it to a burn address. So as the dynamic supply control algorithm adjusts from maximal to peg to restricted to deflationary, it's doing that based on the current price between all-time high and all-time low. When we have a correction in the price, it can dip down to deflationary where it is now, and when it gets to this point, it's removing more tokens from circulation than what it's emitting. So this allows for the price to stabilize and then cause price appreciation. Now we see that the pig's price has been stable for weeks now, and the dogs token, the price of dogs, has been stable for the past about 2 days, and this is since we've gone into the deflationary mode. So this ability to restrict supply when we have corrections in the price allow for the supply to adjust to the given demand for the assets to cause price stabilization or price appreciation. And now, so there's two sides of price discovery. There's supply and demand. Now we control supply through the supply control algorithm and the deflationary mechanics of the system, and we create demand through the mechanics of the animal farm and through the additional development and investment options that we are providing and developing. And the next one to hit is going to be the piggy bank. So when the piggy bank launches, and it gives this major incentive to lock up pigs and stake dogs to increase the commission that you're earning in the piggy bank.
Yeah, my bad, bro. I was trying to end the video. I was trying to end my screen share, and then I ended up closing the damn thing. I'd be fucking up, right? Yo, my bad. Yeah, I'll be fucking up. Forex probably still talking right now. Forex probably going deep right now. Forex! Yo, somebody tag the GOAT. The Tom Brady of crypto.
Yeah. Did you try to close your
Yeah,
video?
bro. I try to close the freaking share screen.
It's okay. So everybody's
bad,
back. So it's all good. So we control the supply side of the price discovery formula with the supply control algorithm, which has reduced the emission rate to a deflationary model because the tokens are being removed from circulation at a greater rate than what they're being emitted, and we create demand through the investment options on the animal farm and through the continued development. And the next piece of development that we're launching is the piggy bank, and the piggy bank gives immediate value to the pigs token, allowing you to earn a high yield, and it's a daily ROI similar to drip and similar to the drip garden. So this is for people that are not sure about the pig pen and thinking, oh, the pig pen is based on the growth of the platform and the success of the platform, where you may be more interested in a short term turnaround and something more similar to the drip garden. This is your opportunity to get in here where you're going to get a specific ROI paid to you every day. So it's a different model, and it's attractive to a different kind of user, but we still have the mechanics that reward you for being in and having a longer term position. So it's basically where it's an option for people that have a shorter term investment time frame on the project, which I think that's one thing that we kind of lack on the animal farm, is that shorter term time frame opportunity. We have a solid and extremely strong long term opportunity, and for those who have a long term perspective, they're the ones that are going to win. And that's the case always in crypto. Those who have a long term time horizon and get into solid projects with good fundamentals, they win over time, and they win by being long-term holders. And if you look at any of my other projects, they all have a type of correction after launch, and then when we continue with development and add more value to it, we then break new all-time highs. And the people that benefit in the end are those that are the long-term holders that are in the project from the beginning, or as early as possible, and continue to hold through the life of the project. We understand that not everybody in crypto has a long time horizon, and And when we built the animal farm, we built it speaking directly to those that have the long time horizon, because we know those are going to be the people that are most successful. But I think the platform may be lacking a bit in opportunity for people that don't have a long term horizon, that want the short term flip, that want the daily ROI, the guaranteed daily ROI that something like a drip garden could provide. And we're going to meet that demand with the piggy bank. This is going to be attractive to people who have a long-term perspective, because we still offer a major opportunity for people to get greater yield for being a long-term participant in the piggy bank. But it also suits the need of people that are looking for a short time horizon, daily ROI type of platform. So it's creating an immediate value for pigs and an immediate value to stake dogs, because the commission structure is based on a model very similar to the BREAP drip model. And we saw what that did to BREAP, right? BREAP, after launch, had a correction. It was down, 70% or whatever for a few months, until we implemented it in Drip's referral structure. And that immediately gave both incentive to remove BREAP tokens from circulation, to buy BREAP tokens, and it added this long-term value for them because it gave them a strong fundamental use case and utility. We're doing the same thing for dogs here, but in the piggy bank. So I expect dogs to have a very similar reaction to what BREAP had when we integrated BREAP into Drip, which was massive. And we see that dogs over the past couple days has been flat for the first time. So it's had a stabilized price for the first time essentially since launch, and that's because the dynamic supply control algorithm adjusted the emission rate to be deflationary, to be a deflationary model. And since essentially the minute that happened, the price has stabilized, and now we're adding in a massive new demand for the dog token, and where this is how we affect both sides to cause price appreciation. We affected the supply side through the dynamic supply control algorithm, and that stabilized the price. And now we're about to add massive new demand, which allows for price appreciation. Now, the piggy bank is it's like an amalgamation of the best elements of the drip garden and a staking protocol similar to Hex, but way more powerful. And we have a bunch of mechanics that are groundbreaking, but are proven to be effective. So
this is one of my questions too, Forex, is what are the advantages that piggy bank has over Hex? If we had to just, because we some people don't understand really what Hex is. We have like so many people who are just new to the community. So like, what are the straight up advantages that piggy bank is going to have over Hex? And basically, what is Hex? A staking platform, but what are our advantages over them?
Yeah. So Hex is essentially a staking platform where you get a time value or you get a price value for time. So for staking, your principal for a period of time, you can earn a bonus on the APY or on the yield that it generates. Now with Hex, it takes whatever your principal was that was staked, and how whatever your principal that you staked and however long you staked it for, it adds in this bonus at the end. So if you stake it for a year, it gives you a 20% bonus at the end of the year. If you stake it for 2 years, it gives you a 40% bonus at the end of the year. This is on your dibs essentially. So because there is no ability to compound in Hex, and because the bonus is added at the end of your stake, it's extremely limited, and it's a relatively small bonus relative to the commitment that you're making. So what I mean by that is essentially it's a 20% bonus for locking up for a year. Now, if you don't have the ability to compound it, and it's only a 20% bonus at the end of the year. I mean, you could invest in traditional markets and get better than a 20% yield at the end of the year for staying,
Right.
for being in it for a year. And that's without all of the risk associated with, being involved in such a volatile market as crypto, and being in an innovative product which has its own risks. So there's other mechanics. I don't want to really go on about Hex, but let me just talk about the positives of the piggy bank instead. So the all of and when I don't even need to speak about Hex, because essentially all of the products that are doing something that have a time harvest lockup are essentially copying the mechanics of Hex. So it's there's no need. I don't need to talk about Hex specifically. I can just talk about all of these projects that have a time locking mechanic. Um, so they're all inflationary, right? So all of them, what they do is you stake for a period of time. You get a bonus for staking for a period of time, and at the end of your stake, it then mints tokens, which are given to you as a bonus for time locking. This dilutes the circulating supply and dilutes the value of the assets that it's paying you. Effectively, it's disincentivizing holding, at the same time it's rewarding you for staking, which has an offsetting mechanic that essentially it's doing the opposite of what you would want it to do over time. It's diluting the value of the tokens that you're earning a bonus on. This is not something that I would want to implement into a time staking protocol. With the piggy bank, the dividends that are being paid out using a non-inflationary model, similar to how the drip garden does it. Now, the drip garden is paying out dividends from the platform in a way that allows for contract growth without having to mint additional tokens to pay it out. And this has proven itself to be a successful model, where if people are paying attention to the analytics of the drip garden, the contract balance is at all-time highs, like 5 or 6 months after launch, and continues to grow and continues to hit all-time highs every month while paying out this compound interest. So it's proven to be a model that can pay out compound interest without relying on an inflationary protocol. So we're using the same power, and the way that we were able to develop a system that did this is rooted in all of the research we did to develop drip. So we spent a very long time, over 8 months in the research phase when developing drip, to get a product that could do compound interest without inflation and have it be sustainable. And we used this body of knowledge that we accumulated through the development of drip, the launch of drip, and over the whole life of drip, to create a protocol that can do interest-free compound yield. So with the animal farm, we have several mechanics that we use to ensure sustainability and fairness. So when we decided to initially build the drip garden, it was because we had a heavy outreach from the community back when these miner games were popular to do one of our own. We also wanted to incentivize people to add liquidity to the drip token. So we looked at these games, and one thing they all had in common was an inherent sense of instability and centralization that results in an unfair distribution of rewards. So we looked at the power distribution of the protocol and started theorizing in how we could more evenly manage the buying power distribution. And one of the key ways that we did it was by setting the initial contract balance, which creates the initial exchange rate in a way that isn't a buy itself. So what I mean by that is something like a BNB miner or a shrimp farmer or any of these games, you need to do an initial deposit in order to set the exchange rate. That way, when someone comes in after you, when the second person comes in to buy, the contract knows what exchange rate to give them. What this did was allow the first person to have liquidity, which but inherently it would always be either an insider or the developer. It would have to be someone that has connections to the developer because they're the only ones that would know how, where, and when to add this initial capital to start the exchange rate. It allowed them to get essentially all of the starting buying power. So we'll use the theming of the drip garden. The way the drip garden works is when you make a deposit, you buy seeds. These seeds are automatically planted for you, and now you have plants. And these plants don't have a dollar value. The seeds are what have the dollar value, but the plants are what produce the seeds for you. The more plants you have, the more seeds you will harvest, the more seeds you will produce, and the seeds get their value based on how much capital is on the contract. Now, if you were the first person to set the exchange rate, when you make that initial deposit, you get half of the seeds from initially. So the developers or the insiders get half of the seeds from the start just to kick off the exchange rate of the contract. And then at that point, they now have half of the seeds, or those seeds. So they buy the seeds, those seeds are planted, and now they essentially have half of the plants that will ever be generated in the game. So it starts them out with a massive inequitable power dynamic where now they have the ability to compound, and within a matter of a week, they can essentially have a claim to 90+% of all the capital on the contract. And whenever they decide to start draining, it's over, right? They're going to be able to drain 90+% of all of it. We recognize this as a major imbalance in power distribution and something that is inherently unfair and unsustainable. Now, a lot of other developers, and we know this because we were the first ones to do it, say, okay, well, it's fine. I'll make the initial deposit, but I just won't drain the contract. And, basically tell the community, trust us, we won't drain the contract. But
right. And then they make it seem like the contract is growing, but meanwhile, the developer has all the money stacking up in the background. And then when they decide to pull the plug, game over.
Yeah. And that puts way too much trust in the developer. You have to trust them that they're not going to drain the contract. And inevitably, they always do. And this is proven. Look at any of these games. It always happens. So we decided to.
Oh, they get hacked too. They get hacked now. Forex also.
We know hacked is always an excuse for the developers scamming out. That's 99% of the time. That's what it is. So what we did, we said, and yeah, of course, what they say is they don't say the protocol was hacked. They say their wallet was hacked, and the hacker withdrew their divs from the contract. If those divs were never available to them in the contract, it wouldn't matter if their wallet was hacked or not. That security issue should have never been in there in the first place, and it isn't with something like the drip garden, because the way that we handle it is that initial deposit, which creates the starting exchange rate, was a simulated deposit where we didn't actually add capital. We tricked the contract into thinking we added capital. So then that set the exchange rate for the first person to buy. And when that first person bought, they got a fair exchange rate. because number one, the developers didn't have 50% of the supply, and number two, they didn't get 50% of the supply. They got an exchange rate that was representative of what we set it to, which we knew would be a fair starting exchange rate. And then we used contract and time multipliers. And what this did was increase the buying power of new capital coming in. So as the value of seeds became more and more expensive, the buying power of new capital coming in became more and more powerful, allowing them to afford the seeds. And this offset the degradation of buying power of new capital coming in and made it an extremely fair curve. So basically, no matter when you come in, you're going to get a fair rate. On top of this, the plants are always increasing. So the plants are inflationary. And some people might be thinking, well, how is this a good thing? And the reason why that's a good thing is because as an existing staker, you're not getting your dollar value of what you're available to claim or how much your seeds are worth from the amount of plants in circulation. The amount of plants that you hold just represents how many seeds you'll be able to generate. So by inflating the supply of plants, we're not reducing the value of existing stakers and of existing players in the system. We're just ensuring that new capital coming in and people that are existing members that are compounding will be able to get a fair rate for their plants because the number of plants is not drastically being restricted. Like the supply of plants isn't constantly being reduced to the point where it becomes impossible for it to be profitable for new capital to come in. So all of these mechanics working together ensure that it's always attractive for new capital to come in. And because of that, our contract balance remains at all-time highs, and it ensures that those who are existing stakers can always see an increasing profit margin as they grow their garden. So we took the same mechanics that we used to build the drip garden that allowed it to be fair and sustainable, and we implemented it into the piggy bank with extra utility. And what I mean by extra utility is instead of having the multiplier for new buying power increasing as the contract balance grows and as the time goes by, it increases based on how long you lock up your harvest for. Now, we're still implementing the mechanics such as setting the initial exchange rate, not with a real buy, but with a simulated buy. This way, it doesn't give an unfair power distribution. We're still having the amount, the value, which determines how much divs you can generate, increase over time. This way, new capital coming in will always get a fair rate. But instead of putting the buying power multiplier on how long it's been since launch or the contract balance, we're putting it on how long you're time harvesting for. And this makes it that much more sustainable because it heavily incentivizes people to time lock their stake. But it still has all of the mechanics that allows the drip garden to be fair over time and always be attractive for new capital to come in. So it's the best of both worlds with these awesome new utilities. So some of the other utilities that I want to speak on is the ability to have multiple stakes. So with the drip garden, when you stake, you have that one stake that you manage. Since we have a time locking element to the piggy bank, we're allowing people to create multiple stakes. This way, you can set up multiple time locking strategies. This way, if you want a system where you can create a weekly paycheck for yourself or a monthly paycheck for yourself, or you want to have a protocol where all right, I'm going to stake this for 5 years. I'm going to stake this for 3 years. I'm going to stake this for 1 year, and I'm going to stake this for 6 months. That way, when I get to the 6-month point, I can now reassess, see where we're at, and decide whether I want to restake it or I want to claim. And
So
it
Forex,
allows you.
that goes into one of my questions that I had too, because people wanted to know, okay, the maximum stake is going to be 5 years, and what's the minimum stake?
The minimum stake is going to be 1 week.
1 week.
Yeah, so we were going back and forth between 1 day and 1 week, and the math makes more sense to do 1 week, and also there's really no point to doing time locking for 1 day, right? So we're gonna do a minimum of a week and a maximum of 5 years. And the reason for 5 years is it's a bit arbitrary, but you have to have some limit on it, because if the multiplier, which is being added to the principal, is based on how long you time lock it for, and you allow for infinite time locking, meaning someone can do 1 billion years, then someone could do such a high value that it would cause issues in the contract. It would have to be like billions of years or whatever to cause an issue. But because of that, we have to put some limit on it. And I think that a 5-year limit is a good limit, because markets tend to have 5 and 10-year cycles. So the crypto market is a bit faster than traditional markets. Traditional markets typically have 10 to 12-year cycles, especially the real estate and stock market. So, and then that affects the bond market as well. So basically all traditional markets follow 10, 12-year cycles. But the crypto market is a bit faster. So we decided to go with 5 years, and it works perfectly. Now, let me talk about how the multiplier is applied. All right, it's not applied similar to these other time locking protocols where you time lock for a year, for example, and you get a 20% bonus on your principal at the end of the year because you time locked. I don't see that as being a strong enough incentive, and it's not taking advantage of the innovations that we have made and the innovations that have been made by other developers since these initial time locking type protocols were invented. So if you're time locking for a year in a protocol that allows you to earn a high daily ROI, no one's going to care about earning 20% on their principal at the end of the year when they'll have made 1200x by that time, if they compound for a year. See what I'm saying? So the incentive just isn't there for that type of protocol. And also, to have that kind of protocol, it inherently needs to be inflation based, because in a protocol like the Drip Garden, we have no way to predict what the contract balance will be by the time you end stake. This is a bullish thing because we see that the contract balance is increasing month after month, week after week in the Drip Garden. So if we were to look at what the contract balance is when you stake it, and then determine your payout based on this, it wouldn't be good for stakers, because when the contract balance grows, you're going to be cutting yourself short, because we determine what the bonus would be based on a smaller contract balance. So we decided not to do it this way for that reason, and also because we don't want to inflate the supply to pay out a bonus, because this is inherently diluting the supply of the token to pay out a bonus, which is also something we don't want to do. But it's a lot easier from a development standpoint to pay the bonus on your principal at the end of the stake if it's inflationary, because then you just say, I'll pay a 20% bonus, and then at the end of the stake, you just mint 20% more tokens and send it to the holder. This is not attractive in a system that has compound interest. You want to be able to compound your bonus in a system that has compound interest. So the way that we're implementing it is utilizing technology that has been developed over the past 100+ years in options markets, where a multiplier is applied to the value of your stake over a period of time. Now, if people know a bit about options markets, you have something called theta decay. And theta decay is a mechanism that depreciates the value of your asset as it gets closer to the execution date of your option. Where once your options contract hits the expiration date, it's essentially worthless. And starting on day one, it's worth the full value. Now, there's some other minor mechanics that go into it, but this is the overall pressure that's being put on that determines the value of an options contract relative to time. Now, they are using a type of multiplier, but it's a type of inverse multiplier that is depreciating the value of the asset over time. We're utilizing an extremely similar equation, but we're doing it in an inverse way to cause value and to appreciate the value of the principal of your locked asset over time. So it starts off with being no bonus applied to your stake. And then as it gets closer to the end of your time lock stake, your bonus is being applied to your principal, appreciating your principal, which in turn increases the amount of dividends that you're earning on that principal. Because you're earning 3% daily ROI. If your principal is increased by putting a multiplier on it, it's then increasing the amount of interest you're making every day as this multiplier is applied. And we're using the same distribution curve that options markets use to apply this multiplier, but inverse. So instead of causing degradation of your asset, it's increasing the value of your asset over time. So it starts off on day one with 0 multiplier being added to your principal. And by the time your stake has ended, you will have 100% of your bonus being applied to your principal.
So Forex, all right. I got a monster question. And everybody, I'm sure, wants to know the answer to this question. And I think when we highlight this question and we answer it, I think it's going to bring millions and millions of dollars more to the farm after I ask this question. So this is going to be a monster. All right. So check this out. This question was asked on a Twitter too. And he said, is there another mechanic to support the PIG token to further stabilize price and give more trust to people to stake for years? Now, we don't need any other mechanics, but I think what's really important for people to understand is how we're going to keep a low inflation rate of PIG token on the farm, and how we're going to be. What do you expect? What kind of total token supply range you think we're going to have in the long term to make people more confident to be able to want to use the piggy bank and stake for a long period of time? How are we going to control our token supply and how everything works together, and how bullish it is for all this extra millions of dollars of liquidity to be added to the piggy bank, and how all of this is going to work together to give confidence for somebody to want to stake 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we already see that the price of pigs is stable, right? The price of pigs has been stable for weeks. And this is without the additional mechanic that's going to be removing millions of dollars worth of pigs from circulation every day and bringing value to the farm as a whole. We also have a tax protocol in dogs, which is variable. So right now we have the tax applied to trading dogs, selling dogs, and other kinds of swaps associated with the dog token. We're not applying a tax on buying dogs, depositing dogs, or adding liquidity to dogs. Now, this is because until the dog's price stabilize, we want to make it as pain-free as possible for people to buy dogs. We're set within a limit of how much we can adjust the dog's tax, and this is for security reasons, right? We can never make the tax on dogs more than 10%. And this is so everybody can rest assured, because that's been used in the past by scammy developers, like making 100% tax on the token. That way, no one can sell it, and that gives them an ability to rug pull. We limit it to 10%, and right now it's 6% on sells and other transactions, and 0 on buying and liquidity and these other transactions. We can increase the tax on the dog token once the price has stabilized. And I believe it already has stabilized in the past couple of days, since it's moved down to deflationary. But the introduction of the piggy bank is going to really put jet fuel on that and allow for price appreciation. When that happens, we can tick up the tax on dogs a bit, and that's going to greatly increase the amount of BUSD being sent to the pig pen. Now, it's also creating more incentive to lock up the dogs token, which in turn adds more value, more TVL to the platform, which allows us to lend out more and earn more yield on the platform as a whole for buybacks. We haven't even tapped into the capital that we've been raising on the back end through the rehypothecation. It's millions of dollars. We haven't even tapped into it yet to start buybacks. So we're still going through the capital that we migrated over from L1, and we still have a lot of that as well. So the pig token has already proven to be stable in current conditions. Now, with the addition of the piggy bank, I expect to see extreme price appreciation and continued price appreciation. And because of this, people will have incentive to time lock it to earn more. Now, you don't have to time lock to use the piggy bank. You can deposit into the piggy bank and earn up to 3% daily ROI without time locking.
Wait, hold on, Forex, my bad. So we could just be clear. So it could function similarly to how the garden works, where you put in your capital, it's locked, but you don't. It doesn't do the same like a time lock mechanism. Am I right by saying that?
If you don't time lock, your user experience will be exactly the same as Drip Garden.
Okay, there you go. All right. So it's a dual option.
Yeah.
Basically, so right? Yeah. All right, cool.
That alone should give people confidence to get involved, because the Drip Garden has proven to be a massive success. Right? People are making thousands of X return off the Drip Garden. So, people are making crazy return off the Drip Garden, and have been and continue to, and the contract balance continues to grow. And so if you get into the piggy bank without time locking, your experience is going to be exactly like the Drip Garden. Now, the reason why you're going to want to time lock is because it really makes your ability to compound your interest so much more powerful. The reason for this is because it's adding your bonus multiplier to your principal, and if you time lock, you can still compound. So say I time lock for a week, or let's say 10 days, just to make the math easier. Say I time lock for 10 days. And for time locking for 10 days, I get a 20% bonus. And I lock 100 tokens, right? What this is going to do is it's going to look at what you time locked, look at what the bonus is. A 20% bonus for time locking for 10 days is 20 tokens. So essentially you get 20 more plants for time locking for 10 days. And these 20 plants are added to your principal over the life of your stake. So as the multiplier is being added to your principal, you're now increasing the amount of interest you're earning every day which you can then now compound, because when you time lock, only harvesting is locked. You can still compound those dividends. Unlike Hex, unlike Merit Circle, unlike any of the other protocols that have a time locking system, on all those other systems, if you have your capital time locked, you can't claim those divs and you cannot compound those divs. Those are locked. Those are dead in the contract. With ours, since ours is a major innovation, we have the ability to compound. So you can take that bonus that you've earned for time locking, plus all the divs that you're earning every day, and compound them back into your principal. Now you compound them into your principal. This increases the interest that you're making, allowing you to now compound that, increasing your principal, and having an additional multiplier added. So the way it would work is you time lock for 1 week. Is a 20% bonus for time locking for a week. You stake 100 tokens at the start. These 20 tokens, which would be your bonus for time locking, in the first 7 days of the time lock, six tokens essentially will have been added to your principal. And then in the last 25% of your time lock, the other 14 tokens will be added to your principal, essentially increasing your principal by 20%. And people that know about compound interest know that if you can increase your principal by even a fraction of a percent, it results in many X multipliers as an end result. The end of the calculation ends up being extremely high. So there's a big difference between paying out a 20% bonus on a stake, where this 20% bonus is given out based on how much you stake, or taking a 20% bonus, adding it to your principal, and now allowing you to compound it every day, earning 3%. So you're earning up to 3% ROI on your principal that you staked, plus 3% ROI on the bonus that's being added to your principal, increasing your principal, increasing your divs, which you then compound. You can then compound every day, greatly increasing the compound interest that you end up as a result. So a 20% bonus added to your principal, depending on how long it's staked for, could result in a 2,000% greater dividends in the end. So it's because it's non-linear. It's non-linear growth, which is extremely powerful. And people that have been involved in drip, that have been involved with the drip garden, understand the power of compound growth. So if you have some people that are not utilizing the time staking and they're earning up to 3% ROI, yeah, they'll do well. But the people that are earning up to 3% compound interest on their principal, with an added multiplier that is increasing their principal alongside the interest that they're compounding into their principal, it allows them to see a non-linear growth curve that results in way more divs in the end. Like it's way more
divs, yeah. See, yeah. I think we painted a great picture with that, so people can understand how powerful that is. Imagine putting stakes out there, earning 20% more on that stake, being able to take out your principal and then earn that interest on top of it at the end of a stake. Powerful, plus the compounding. Amazing.
Yeah. So imagine this. People that have been in drip, right? You've been in drip for the past year, right? Drip's been around for about a year. You've been in drip for the past year. Imagine if when you deposited, there was an additional 20 or 40 or 50% more capital being added to your balance just for agreeing to lock it for the year. And you were able to compound that 50% increase in your principal throughout the whole year. Let's think of how powerful that is at the end, and your ability to earn exponential growth on that. It's not the same as having a 50% bonus paid out on your end interest or a 50% bonus paid out on your principal at the end. It's exponentially compounding your principal and your ability to earn non-linear growth on your principal. So it's extremely powerful. And there's nothing else in crypto that has this kind of mechanism that allows you to sustainably earn compound interest. And we know from the drip garden that this works, and it works extremely well. And having a mechanic that allows people to time lock their harvest just increases the sustainability of the protocol, because it prevents people from having weak hands and getting themselves panicked out of position that a month later they wish they never got panicked out of. And there's a lot of mechanics that go into time locking that really can make a protocol way more sustainable and way more of a long-term dynamic to it.
What gives us a great edge too, so people can understand, is the pig token majority liquidity is paired, or all the liquidity, most of it, right, is paired with BUSD. So regardless of the market conditions, we could be going into deep red regardless of what's happening with Bitcoin and all this other stuff. Us being massively paired with BUSD is going to put us in a safe zone where pig is just going to have its own price action going on based on the activity of the community. And then we have all that additional buy pressure from what the animal farm is doing because of the deposit fees and all of the different structure that we have to be able to support pig's price as well. So this is going to be a safe haven, just like how drip is a safe haven, because we got that massive BUSD liquidity pool. So this is going to be an awesome alternative for us as investors to have our money in something that's going to be market resilient out there.
Yeah, and the pig's price right now is a bit volatile because it has relatively low liquidity. But when we have this massive incentive to add liquidity, it's going to both appreciate the price of pigs and create a hardened price of pigs, because the liquidity will be added at this appreciated rate. So right now there's about $10 million worth of liquidity added to the pigs token. The token that is staked in the piggy bank is pigs BUSD LP token. So pigs PancakeSwap LP token. And man, I don't know. I guess I can leak it, right? But I don't know if I should. All right, so we've I don't know. We've been. Let me just say, we've been in talks with the major DEX on BSC to work and partner with them. And
I followed back up with something they said too.
Yeah, and basically they reached out to us, and it will allow us to do lending on their platform with drip, dog, and pigs, and the ability to do because right now we're using the majority of the collateral on the animal farm to create additional yield on the back end, which has allowed us to raise millions of dollars, which we'll use for buybacks, which we haven't even tapped into yet. And we're able to do this on the major well-known protocols like Link, BUSD, BNB, Wrapped ETH, Wrapped Bitcoin, etc. We don't have the ability to do that yet with drip, dogs, or pigs. But a major DEX reached out to us, and they're interested in integrating drip to allow people to stake drip on their platform to earn yield in their token, which opens up the door for lending to us. And having our foot in the door with drip will allow us to easily get that done for dogs and pigs as well. So let me just leave their specific name out of it for now, because that's been an issue in the past where I've said the name of a project that we're in negotiations with.
Let me call you out on that one too, on a different platform, because people want to know about the Bet Fury situation. So let's talk about that real quick, just so that way people can have that question answered. Is the Bet Fury thing going to be like something a couple months down the line?
Well, I've always said that it was a couple months down the line. So no matter, because we have the animal farm to launch, and we have we have the piggy bank to launch, and it was always going to be at least a month after, or if not a couple of months after the launch of the animal farm. But
everything needs its own attention. That's what the community got to understand. Like, we got a whole bunch of stuff we want to do, but everything needs to have their own time. We need to promote it individually, and we can't have everything on top of each other, or else it doesn't have the same force.
Yeah, so anybody that's been a part of my other projects realize that we always have a major pump at the start due to hype, and then it's about building from there. So once you have the initial hype pump, then you have people taking profit because they were just in it just for the hype, and then the mechanics of the system and the game theory start to play out, and then you add value to the platform by developing. And this is what we've done for all of our protocols. And this is the reason why all of our protocols do better months and years down the road than they did a couple months after launch. And they continue to grow and they continue to do better. It's because we continue to build for them and add utility and use cases for them. That's the same thing we're doing with the animal farm. And yeah, the BetFury partnership is still it's still a go. People did make it a little difficult for us, and this is the reason why I'm not saying the name of the decks that reached out, because when we were in negotiations with BetFury, I mentioned that we were in negotiations with BetFury, and like 1,000 people went in the BetFury group saying partnership with Drip, shilling Drip and all this stuff, and it ended up getting the BetFury team kind of aggravated. And I explained what happened to them, and I told them, well, I didn't say we had an official partnership with them or anything, just that we were working on it and we had just spoken about a partnership and we were negotiating with it. So they understood that, and we moved forward with it, and we still have that on the horizon to do. But if we can get a partnership with Chainlink or a partnership with this Major Dex, which is basically the largest project on BSC, that comes first.
On a whole other level. That Chainlink partnership, people don't understand how bullish that is as well. Super bullish.
Yeah.
Especially in the area and field that you're in, Forex, where you understand trading, you understand how markets work. Just having that kind of integration, and I could imagine like the millions of ideas you have for building different things to support the ecosystem.
Yeah, we actually innovate. So there's a lot of other projects that might use Chainlink for one or two things, but that's it. They use it for whatever Chainlink pitches to them as an idea. But when I speak to Chainlink, I'm thinking of like dozens of different ways we could go to really change DeFi. Right. So and they recognize that. So they're on board. But it's one partnership at a time. We're not gonna do 3 major partnerships at the same time, because you end up losing the promotional value and drawing attention and splitting attention. So really, it's whatever's going to be the biggest partnership first. And Chainlink is ready to go, and they're also massive. They're the number 3 biggest community in all of crypto. So they're ready to go. Next Monday,
the number 1 oracle in the space. Yeah. There's no better oracle than Chainlink, right?
Yeah, and I have a meeting with them on Monday with their head of marketing to discuss how we can do a massive co-promotion with each other. So so they're ready to go. So I had a call with BetFury. We talked about opportunities that we can do. They're on board with it. They're the ones that pitched us a bunch of the opportunities. So that is still a go on the horizon. But they're also telling me that they're trying to focus on some centralized exchange listings, and they have a few other things that they're working on as well. Whereas Chainlink is ready to go now, and also Chainlink is way bigger of a project. So if I had to pick between one or the other, I would pick Chainlink anyways, and Chainlink is ready to go now. So we're gonna go with that. Loot Loot is I spoke about Loot when we first went live. They're ready to go as well. And I have a very good relationship with the CEO of Loot. So that's
how far could this partnership with Loot go? Like we're gonna have NFTs that we're going to be able to have access to based on our deposit amounts in drip, and that we'll be able to utilize those NFTs cross chain from with Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. But like, how much further could Loot go? Like, what kind of possibilities could we have with Loot? I know that Loot is going to be in a great position because of all the drama that's going on with OpenSea, and they're going to have access to our 80,000 member plus. We're going to be reaching 100K community members plus in like probably the end of the month or something. So like they're gonna have like our combination is gonna be sick. But what's our capability? What kind of stuff could we do with Loot? Like what kind of potential is there with Loot?
I think that Loot, given the fact that they are incorporated and they have docs, developers, and a CEO behind it and all of that, we can utilize them to get more traditional institution connections. So we can handle things such as escrow and giving away like IRL rewards, such as tickets to events and things like that. They have several game devs that are working to create something like similar to VR games, like what Oculus is doing. And I believe that they do have the connections to do it. So it will give us a platform to build on, basically to take advantage of the next step in gaming, which is going to be metaverse and play to earn ability. And I think having an established relationship with them from essentially day one and having a big plot in their metaverse from day one allows us to take full advantage of that and really have a great relationship with them. Also, their plot, they have plans to utilize their plot as a major marketing tool, and Drip and the Drip community will have a massive share of their metaverse plots that will be used as a marketing tool. So really,
that's awesome. I could even think of us community members, guys in the Drip community who are bullish on play to earn. We can start a Drip guild and then have start building up other lanes for the Drip community to earn income while representing the Drip community and being also part of the Loot NFT ecosystem. Bullish.
Yeah, and they have their own side chain that they do their NFT trades and auctions on, because they're on the ERC20 network and they want to keep costs down. And you basically have to operate on a side chain now if you're doing anything interesting with ETH. So they do that, and they're willing to provide a lot of incentives for us to build on their side chain. And now they're not the only.
I think that might be a good idea too, because what I'm seeing also, because I'm in the play to earn, I'm covering all kind of different play to earn games, and what I'm seeing is the major players, they're going into a lot of these subnets. They're going into them because of the transaction fee costs being super low in comparison to just being on the major network like Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche. We could do so many more transactions being on a subnet versus being on any of these major nets.
Yeah, I also want to build out a bridge for Drip to allow for cross-chain compatibility. I don't want to spread our liquidity across multiple chains, but I do want to have a bridge that allows people to take, for example, AVAX and ETH and Pulse and whatever upcoming chains that are going to provide some interest. I want to be able to do a cross-chain bridge to allow for that. And that would we would need some sort of oracle. And I spoke with the Chainlink Labs dev team today about utilizing Chainlink with that and getting some sort of sponsorship from them. And they were like extremely excited about that. So this awesome. the Chainlink partnership that we have worked out is going to open a lot of doors, where not only just being able to utilize Chainlink, because we can utilize Chainlink whenever we want, but getting the support of Chainlink promoting our use case of their protocol, and being able to take advantage of their marketing and sponsorship incentives. So they're fully on board for that. Their CTO said that he went over our white paper. He checked out our our engagement on social media, and he was extremely impressed by it. And he sees the value of having some sort of cross promotion there. So on Monday we have a meeting, and I already had a meeting with the Chainlink Labs development team. On Monday, I have a meeting specifically with their head of marketing to discuss how we're going to handle this co-promotion. And then we're going to get Piggy Bank out and launched. And immediately after that, we're going to go right into this Chainlink partnership for Drip, and start working on the NFT partnership with Loot. And they're both these are two development teams that believe in what we're doing and are willing to really get behind us and promote us, especially Loot. I know the owner of Loot, and he told me that they have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget that they're ready to put behind us. Anything we develop utilizing their system or a partnership with their system or their side chain or whatever we decide to do for them, they're ready to go. And they were just on CNBC 2 days ago, so they're tied in as far as traditional platforms.
It'll be cool if we can get maybe next month, once things start rolling, if we can get maybe somebody from their team to come and speak to the community, so that way everybody's more familiar with some of the stuff that they got going on. That'd be bullish.
Oh, I could probably do that. Yeah, on Monday when I talk to them.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but I know for a fact, even before I speak to the person that's head of their marketing, what's on the table is Drip and its protocol being added to Chainlink's website, them promoting it on their different social medias, and all of that stuff is like a given. That's going to happen. That's kind of like the base floor where we can start negotiating from to get more. So, it's very exciting. I expected Drip to be successful, but there's no way I could have pictured that, Pancake Swap and Chainlink and these major dev teams would be reaching out to us.
Boom.
I know.
Right.
But it's big, man. So it's extremely big. Exciting. So
all right, wait. This is a different question. Just marketing strategies that we're working on. Anything immediate that we're trying to focus on as far as marketing? Like any particular lanes besides the cross promotion? Like what else are we expecting from marketing? And how are we utilizing the community ads and the things that people have submitted to be able to market more?
Yeah. Okay. So we had the ad competition this week. We have at least one winner. I've been working so hard on getting the piggy bank developed and prepared to launch next week that's been my main focus. But we do have we did have the ad competition last week. We do have at least one winner, and right now we're trying to decide where would be the best place to get those ads up. So we've had ads on Dex Tools. We've had ads on DAP Radar. We've had ads on PooCoin. We have had ads on utilizing a company called ads-ads.com or dash-ads.com, whatever. They work with a bunch of different large crypto companies like blockchain.com and bitcoin.com and other sites that outsource their advertising. So we're looking to find the best place to put our ads to get the most bang for our buck. And that's a process that I'm going to be putting my full focus on basically now. So I've been working putting all my resources into getting the piggy bank developed. So today I could announce the launch day, because I wanted to wait until it was 100% developed until I gave a launch day. That way I knew when the launch day came around, we wouldn't have to delay it because we weren't finished developing or whatever. So I've been just cramming extra hard to ensure that we got it finished, developed, and tested by today, so that I could make a launch date going a week out, which is next Tuesday. But I wanted to ensure while I was doing that, we had some marketing things going on in the background. So I've done several interviews, but we also had the ad competition. So we had some quality ads to put up when I had the ability to do that. And now development is finished. So now 100% of my focus is on marketing and promoting. And that's what I'm going to be doing every day for the next week. And part of that will include ads. We also have a AMA coming up with a major Discord community. The owner of it, his name is Crypto Sensei. I'm not.
Nice.
I don't remember the name of the Discord,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you was right.
yeah,
Yeah, Crypto Sensei. Let me see. I forgot the name off the top of my head. That's fine. Yeah, but it's a whole different community, right?
Yeah, but we're working on that. And there's a YouTuber that has about 125,000 subscribers that we have a scheduled interview coming up with. But really, the interviews and the AMAs are something that that I kind of have handled. That we can I know that we can get solid interviews and solid AMAs basically every other day if I want to. So that's locked in. Like everybody can rest assured that we're going to be having plenty of interviews, plenty of AMAs. The thing that we need to work on is getting ads up on high impact sites, and that's something that I'm going to be spending this whole week now that development's done with working on that and reaching out to people, reaching out to connections to try to get them up. I know that we can get ads up on Dex Tools. I know that we can get ads up on PooCoin. I reached out to 8 boards. So 8 boards is like kind of like a Zerion alternative. I reached out to them to get ads up with them. I'm in the process of purchasing ad space from them. I reached out to Zerion. I reached out to BSC Scan. And the same owners of BSC Scan are the owners of Etherscan. So I'm in the process now of negotiating and purchasing ad space from multiple different sites. But if anybody in the community has a connection to one of these major platforms or a suggestion, we're fully open to your suggestions. Because
hit up the admins, guys. Hit up any of the admins, and we'll get it to Forex ASAP.
Yeah, because I'm not trying to waste capital to get ads up on a site where no one's going to click them or no one's going to take advantage of them. So we've been playing around with a bunch of different websites. I mean, there's a reason why we have about 60,000 users on the Animal Farm Telegram group. Those were none of them were added by bots. None of them were forced added. Those are people organically joining the group, and that's from us, marketing, interviews, promotion, getting ads up on Dex Tools and DAP Radar and all the places we had ads. So we are marketing, but now that development is finished with the piggy bank, we can put our full time and resources into just strictly promotion and marketing. And we do have some very good ads from the ad competition that we're going to put up. And I'm looking forward to that. It's really just about deciding who we're going to get the most impact from this from this capital, right? The capital that we have put aside, and we have plenty of capital put aside. So both for buybacks, for pig pay injections, and marketing, we have millions of dollars. And people that are paying attention to the deployer address see that we're constantly putting this capital to work, and paying attention to the deployer address alone, or the address that we did the pre-sale on, isn't going to tell you the full story, because that isn't showing all of the capital that were generated from the collateral rehypothecation as well, which is millions, which we haven't even tapped into yet. So I'm looking to really ramp up the buybacks on the run up to the launch of the piggy bank, and this is because I'll be able to have more price impact with the smaller liquidity pool. Once the piggy bank goes live, we're going to have a huge uptick in demand and restriction of supply, and a big uptick in liquidity. So while the liquidity is low, I can have more price impact with buybacks before then. So I'm going to be ramping up the buybacks on the run up to the piggy bank launch, and then after that, my primary focus is going to be injections into the pig pen, because at that point, when the piggy bank is launched, we've seen that the price of pigs has been stable for a couple of weeks. we just reduced the supply control algorithm, just reduced the supply and triggered the deflationary model. Since then, that's only been for about a day and a half that this has been triggered. Since then, the price of dogs has been stable and the price of pigs has been stable and appreciating. Now, when we add the piggy bank, it's going to have a very similar effect to dogs as the effect that the drip protocol had on BREAP, where you're incentivizing people through the referral structure to buy and lock up dogs. And then the drip token is very similar to the drip garden in the sense that if you don't time lock, the user experience is exactly the same as the drip garden. And we know that on the launch of the drip garden, we over 2x'd the price of drip, and we added about $20 to $30 million to the drip liquidity pool, which created a hardening and helped stabilize the price. So I expect to see an impact on the pigs token. The price of the pig token is very similar to the impact that the drip garden had on drip, but that much larger, because when we launched the drip garden, there was only about 15,000 members of our community. Now we're launching the piggy bank with like 80,000 users of the community, and we have the ability to trend on DEX tools, which is something Drip has a hard time doing because the majority of our trades happen on a native DEX. We're using PancakeSwap, which allows us to trend on DEX tools. So when we have this type of event that incentivizes people to get into or brings attention to dogs and pigs, we immediately start trending. So I expect dogs and pigs to be trending number 1 and number 2 on DEX tools and other analytic sites. I expect us to stay up there, and I expect us to see very, very strong price appreciation. Now, when the price appreciates and this increase of demand happens, what's going to the result of the on the platform is going to be that the supply control algorithm then upticks and increases the rewards that people get for staking on the platform. And this incentivizes the people that just bought those dog and pig tokens from now putting them into the farm and into the pig pen. So not only does it increase the demand to lock up the dog and pig tokens through the pig pen alone, but this increase in demand that causes increased price appreciation also increases the reward structure of the animal farm as a whole. So it really raises all ships. And that's what we're looking to do here, is create immediate value for the dog and pig tokens for the people that don't have a long-term perspective on the project and need something that's going to give them a daily ROI, where they know, all right, I get in here, I'm going to get a daily ROI on my capital. That is that attracts more of a short-term horizon investor, but that's fine because we already have such strong mechanics and such strong incentives for the long-term investor in the animal farm. And I think the one thing that we're lacking on a bit there is an investment option for people that don't have the long-term vision for the project. And that's what the piggy bank is. But it still has the time locking mechanics that greatly reward people that do want to utilize a longer time horizon strategy for their piggy bank investment. So let me just talk about a few more mechanics of the piggy bank. Not only do we have the ability to earn a multiplier on your principal for time locking, so your principal is increased, allowing you to earn increased compound interest, and your divs that you're earning are time locked, but they're only time locked as far as harvesting them. You can continue to compound them, so you're earning non-linear growth as your principal is increased through the multiplier and through the dividends that you're then compounding, really allowing you to see massive compound interest. This is a protocol that or a mechanic that doesn't exist in any other project. Now, we're also not paying out through inflation. This is another major benefit. The pig and dog, the dog and pig token, right now, the mechanics alone that are doing the buybacks and locking up the tokens are doing it at a greater rate than it's being minted. Now, when we add the piggy bank, which is even further incentivizing people to lock up their dog and pig tokens, now you have a situation where they're deflationary and the dividends being paid out from the piggy bank are non-inflationary. They're not coming from minting. So this is another major benefit that we have over every other time locking protocol, where they essentially just mint tokens at the end of your stake and throw them onto your whatever you have that's claimable. Another major benefit that we have that no other protocol has is the ability to airdrop stakes. So this allows you to airdrop time lock stakes to your family and friends and use them as an incentive for people to join your team. So you can have incentive structures that allow you to reward people who use your referral link without having to worry about them dumping what you've airdropped to them immediately on the market. You can airdrop them a time-locked stake that they can now compound and they can now deposit into, but they have to wait until the time lock is over to actually claim. So this allows for the kind of onboarding incentive structure that we have with Drip, which we've seen is very powerful for onboarding new users in the piggy bank itself. And that's something that the Drip Garden doesn't have, and no other time locking protocol has. So this is another major innovation that we've brought to the space that's going to be very, very powerful for building up the user and investor base and growing that contract balance. Now, another mechanic is the ability to create multiple stakes. I kind of spoke on this already. You can create stakes with different lengths, different deposits, different multipliers, and different time lockups to create different strategies. And we know that people like to do this because this is something that other time locking projects have. And we know giving people the ability to do this really adds a new element of game theory, and it's fun. People like to manage their different stakes, and this one's ending this day. Maybe I'll plan a vacation around this end stake, or, it really makes it fun for people to interact with it. And the fact that you can now airdrop these stakes is just that much more powerful for onboarding. And it allows you to reward friends and family. You can set something up for your wife or your kid, or gifts, or your kids.
So
it's really,
Forex, there was a question about it too, about the referral that's going to be used for the piggy bank. How is that going to be set up? Is it going to be the same one for Animal Farm or a different one?
No, it's different because they're different contracts. So the way that it works is, like I was saying, it's very similar to the structure we used with BREAP and Drip, which caused the BREAP token to do something like 700x from where it was before we developed the protocol that integrated BREAP into Drip to where it is right now. BREAP has done something like 700x, something like that, somewhere around there. Because it adds an immediate and very powerful incentive to buy the token and lock the token. So the way that it works is, if you share your referral link with somebody and they click your referral link and they deposit and they start accumulating in the system, you will not get a bonus unless you have some staked dog in the single asset staking pool. Now,
bullish
the way
dogs.
the way it works is, if you have 2 dogs staked, you get a 1% commission based on the capital that is generated from the person that you referred. And the reason why I structured like this, and it's not like a bonus based on what you deposited, is because if you have a system where you get a bonus based on what you deposited, then that's a system that you can self-refer a bunch of tiny little deposits and now be making a percentage off what you deposited, which would be a large amount. So, for example, say you make a 10% bonus for every person you refer based on what you deposit. You can then deposit $100 and then self-refer a bunch of tiny stakes with a 1 cent in each stake and make 10% of your $100 for each time you do this. And this is these kinds of referral systems are leached and have been used to completely destroy projects in the past. Projects like Hex Business, for example, or whatever they're called. They changed their name a few times, Hexy or whatever it is. They got drained through a protocol like this. There's other projects that didn't mess up to the extent that they did, but still utilize a system like this. And inevitably, they always get leached and they always get drained. Or you have to limit them. For example, Hex, they only had their referral system for 1 year. Now, we have proven that if you set the incentive structure up properly, you can reward people for doing referrals over the whole life of the project, and it will be a net benefit over the whole life of the project if you structure it correctly. And we were able to learn from Drip and the Drip Garden to create an incentive structure that has the same way of determining how much reward you get based on the mechanics of the Drip Garden, but the percentage of this reward that you get based on the mechanics of Drip and B-Reap. So we're basically taking the best of both worlds that we already have proven to be highly functional and a massive net benefit for the project, taking the best of both of them and adding them together. Now, it's a one-level referral system, meaning for every deposit and every compound, one bonus is paid out. So it's not a multi-level referral system. Same as Drip, right? Drip does pay out team rewards, but only one bonus, only one referral commission is paid out per positive action, per deposit or per compound. It's the same as that, where only one bonus is paid out per deposit, so it's not a multi-level referral system. But the amount, the percentage that you earn based on what the person who you referred generated is determined by how much dogs you have staked. So if you have 2 dogs staked, you make a 1% commission based on the person who referred. If you have 3 dogs staked, you make a 2% commission. If you have 5 dogs staked, you make a 3% commission. If you have if you have 8 dogs staked, you make a 4% commission. If you have 13 dogs staked, you make a 5% commission. And that's where it caps out, because you have to have some limit on it, or else some whale's going to come in and by unfairly exploit the referral commission structure. But and also, you don't want referrals to be so big that they become a net negative on the system. So we've proven that 5% is sustainable. Drip has a 10%. So we've proven that 5% is more than sustainable. So we're doing 5%, and it's completely based on the amount of dogs you have staked in the single asset pool, which creates an immediate demand for dogs and a reason to have your dog staked. Now, I've had some people suggest that maybe we should increase the amount of dogs that you have staked. And my answer to that is we will make it adjustable within a range. So mainly for the reason where if the dog price gets too expensive, we can reduce the amount of dogs that you need staked to unlock referral commissions. That way the average user can get some commission for referring somebody. And a lot of people were saying at first we should increase the amount of B-Reap that someone needs to hold in order to unlock downline levels in Drip, because when we initially unlocked that, the price of B-Reap was like $2 or $4 or whatever it was. But I told them no, because this is going to create a major incentive and a huge spike in demand for the token. That's going to cause price appreciation, and I want the average user to be able to take advantage of it. And we see that the dog price is already like $55 or between $50 and $60 right now. So that's already at the high end of what you would want someone to have to pay and stake to get a commission. You want the average user to be able to take advantage of it. That means that the floor to be able to take advantage of it should be around a couple $100. You don't want it much more than a couple $100 to be able to take advantage of it. So that takes us to 2 dogs stake is at these prices about $120, and that's the floor to get to start making commissions. That's fair. The average user of the farm can come up with $120 to buy dogs, stake dogs, and now for staking dogs, they're earning pigs, which they can compound into the piggy bank and into the pig pen, and they're now unlocking their referral commissions as well. So it has this positive feedback loop. So it's the mechanics of the system as a whole, the drip garden. I mean, sorry, the animal farm. The mechanics of the system as a whole are working very well. Now, it takes time for the game theory and the mechanics to play out, and that's been the case with all of my projects because they're quite complicated. So it takes some learning curve for the average user to learn how to take advantage of it. But as this learning curve plays out and as the mechanics play out, the power of the protocol builds and builds and builds, and it starts realizing this on the price. Now, all of my projects have had a big hype launch. They've had a correction, and then a bottom is settled in once that initial hype, pump and dump is over. That comes with all big projects, and then we start to see the mechanics of the protocol play out. And we start to see price appreciation. Right now, ever since the supply control algorithm adjusted pigs to restrictive, we've seen the price stabilize and even appreciate. And with dogs, since dogs, the supply control algorithm went to deflationary with the supply control algorithm, we've now seen that happened a little under 2 days ago. We've seen the price of dogs now stabilize. Now, without the piggy bank, the system would start to play out, and we would start seeing this bottom establish and price appreciation as the mechanics of the system play out and build. But the introduction of the piggy bank is that trigger to really set it off, because it's not just built based on hype. It's a massive fundamental change that adds demand for the tokens and incentivizes people to remove the tokens from circulation through multiple different mechanics. And this creates value for the assets, which in turn increases the incentive and value structure for everything on the animal farm. And that has a compounding positive feedback loop, which allows for the product as a whole to grow and really raise all ships. Then on top of this, we're going to be focusing heavy on marketing and promotion to really bring in those additional users. I would like everybody to realize that our TVL on the farm has been stable, which means that
even
the
after major market correction, we still got stable TVL.
Yeah, the whole market, we're talking like Bitcoin, BNB, everything has crashed in value, like 30-40%. But our dollar value in TVL has remained stable, which means that we're accumulating tokens. We're accumulating TVL. So, and the reason why I say that is because the dollar value on the farm is determined based on the combined USD value of all the staked tokens on the platform. Now, if all the staked tokens on the platform, the Link, the BNB, the Wrapped ETH, are all going down in value, we should see the TVL going down in USD value, but we don't. We see the USD TVL value remaining stable, which means that we're actually accumulating and we're actually growing. So even though we had that big, hype and correction like all big projects do, we've proven to have an increased faith in the project because the amount of capital that's locked in the TVL is one of the best ways to determine the faith that the user base has in the project. They're keeping that money in there because they know it's going to result. And they're not only keeping the money in there, they're adding capital to it because they know that it's going to play out for them for the long run, partially because they understand the mechanics of the system and how powerful they are, but also because of my track record where all of my products have this same cycle where we cement the bottom, we grow, we make all-time highs, and then 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road, we're doing better than ever because we continue to develop and we continue to allow the mechanics of the protocol to play out. Now, as the price of dog starts appreciating and as everything's in full swing and we're really snowballing, we'll start adjusting the tax rate in the dog token, which will drive more BUSD to the pig pen, which will create a longer term incentive for the owners. Right now, I would say your best bet would be to diversify between the piggy bank and the pig pen. That way, you have exposure and you're growing your share ownership of the platform while it's affordable to do, but you're also accumulating your share of pigs and BUSD because it's the pigs BUSD LP pool. So you have both a short-term and a long-term play, and really take advantage of this time lockup because look at the drip garden. It's been going for like 5 or 6 months now. The contract balance is larger than ever, which proves that it's fundamentally different than all those shrimp farmer games and all those BNB miner games. Now imagine if for this time you could have been time locked and been earning your compound interest on a 40% larger starting principal, right? That doesn't mean that you would have 40% more dividends. That means that at the end, if you've been compounding, that means that you would right now have maybe 2,000 or 5,000 times more dividends right now. And the reason why it's sustainable is because the reason why you're getting that multiplier is because you're agreeing to time lock it. So you're not claiming and draining every day. So that's why it's sustainable. And also because we have all of the other mechanics that we developed through the introduction of the drip garden to make it fair and sustainable. When I talked about that, let me just touch on it again. I already said it, but just for new people, when you add the initial capital, when the developers added the initial capital to BNB Miner, for example, or Shrimp Farmer, or any of these games, they start the initial exchange rate by putting the initial capital in there. When they do this, by default, they get 50% of all the assets on the contract. So speaking of the theming, like the plants theming, Drip Garden, where you have seeds and you have plants, if we had done a protocol which was the same as a BNB miner or shrimp farmer or whatever, when we added that initial capital to start the initial exchange rate of the contract, we would have gotten 50% of all of the plants. And then if you start off with 50% of all plants in existence and then compound it, within a week, you have over 90+% of all the plants that will ever be created. And this is the unfair protocol that all these other mining and shrimp farmer, etc. games utilized. We made a fundamental change to that to ensure that we essentially tricked the contract into thinking that we added the initial starting capital to set the exchange rate. And then the first capital was really added by the first person to buy at that exchange rate. And we started the exchange rate at a rate that would be fair. So the first person that bought didn't get 50+% of the supply. Instead, they got a very fair exchange rate that is equivalent to what basically everybody else in the system got after them. And then we have the two assets, the seeds and the plants. The seeds represent the dollar value of your stake, and the plants represent your ability to accumulate seeds. Now, the seeds are what have the USD value, and that's what you need to be worried about accumulating as much as possible of. The plants, of course, allow you to do that, but it doesn't matter what the USD value of plants are because you're not able to cash out plants. You're achieving your value proposition from the seeds. So we increased the supply of plants to offset the buying power depreciation that happens on these kinds of exchange rates, to ensure that no matter when you get into the contract, you're getting a fair rate. And this is the same mechanics that we are utilizing in the piggy bank to keep it fair. But instead of having a blind time and contract balance multiplier, which is just increasing as the contract balance grows and depending on when you stake it, instead it's a time multiplier based on how long you're going to time lock your harvest, which has the same end function, but achieves what we're trying to do that much more powerful, because it's rewarding people for staying in longer and for not draining the system. So it's that much more powerful. Now, another mechanic that we have that is not being utilized in the drip garden, but is being utilized in drip, is a max payout. So this is something that's not in the white paper.
There's gonna be a max payout in the pig pen.
There's a max payout in the pig pen, and there's also a emergency end stake function.
Right.
So there's two mechanics. But
wait, before you get into it, because this is gonna lead into it anyway. The question that people still they we gotta just make it clear for people to understand. There's gonna be an option to treat this just like there's going to be an option for us for people to treat this just like how the garden is, where your capital gets locked and then it's up to a 3% rate, and then we're going to have the staking platform where we'll be able to talk about having multiple stakes, etc. And that principal is going to be able to be withdrawn after the stake ends, right?
Okay, so the way it works is, no matter what, your principal is locked, but your principal unless you essentially emergency end stake. But if you emergency end stake, of course, you're penalized. But the way that it works is you earn yield on your principal at a rate of up to 3% a day. This principal is locked, and this is this is one of the key components that allows a system that allows you to play compound interest to be sustainable. So drip garden, any protocol that allows you to do sustainable compound interest is going to have a locked principal mechanic.
Right. And that's how we're able to sustainably pay that high yield. Right. Makes sense.
But with the drip garden, for example, the ROI that you're earning on it allows you to essentially make back your principal in the first month. So it's essentially, if you're locked in there for, it's even less than a month if you compound, but essentially if you're in there for about a month, then yes, you can withdraw your principal, because that's the amount of divs that have accumulated. Now, if you time lock, the multiplier is being added to your principal, and the multiplier stays in your principal. So when your time lock is over, and this is why it's so important as well, and why it's more bullish that you're not withdrawing your principal, because you're able to earn divs for the whole life of the contract. So the way that it works is, if you don't time lock, then you deposit you deposit into the contract. You then earn a daily ROI up to 3%. This can then be compounded, and your divs add up. And whenever you want, you can claim those divs, or you can compound them. There's also a time locking mechanic, which is time locking your ability to harvest your divs, but your available divs can still be compounded. For time locking your divs, for time locking your ability to harvest, you get a bonus. And this bonus is based on a percentage of your starting principal. Now, this bonus that you're getting on your starting principal is added to your principal over the life of your stake, which is another way that you're earning compound interest, because as you're compounding your own interest into your stake, raising your principal, you're also having your multiplier being added to your principal, which is increasing your principal. So you have these two pressures that are increasing your principal increasing the amount of interest you're earning every day, which in turn allows you to compound more value, which in turn increases the amount of interest you're earning every day, and it has this non-linear compound interest effect, which is very powerful. Now, when you time lock and you earn this bonus on your principal, this bonus that's added to your principal stays on your principal after you've finished your time lock. So say your principal has been increased by 40% and you staked for 6 months. When this 6 months ends, what happens is the time locking mechanism will stop adding bonuses to your multiplier. It will stop adding bonus multiplier to your principal unless you time lock for longer. But the bonus that has already been added to your principal remains in your principal, so you can continue to earn yield off of it for the whole life of the platform. Unless you emergency end stake. So the way that the emergency end stake function works is if your claimable dividends have equals what your staked principal is, then you can withdraw half of your principal before your time lock is over. But if you do this, you kill the stake. So you can no longer earn off that yield. So it's a mechanism that is truly only for emergencies, right? If you need to access some capital and that was all your capital, and you've been in the system long enough that you're and this prevents people from setting a stake and emergency end staking the next day or 2 days in or whatever. You need to have some element of honesty there, where the amount of time that you're staking for is going to be somewhat close to what you say you're going to stake for. But if you staked for long enough that your available divs to claim are equal to what your principal is, but you still are time locked, so you can't actually harvest those divs, you can emergency end stake and withdraw half of the essentially half of your principal. But that kills the stake, and you can no longer earn on that stake. Now, 100% of the dividends that would otherwise be going to this person that emergency end stake will go to the people that do have time locks and do stake when they say they're going to end stake when they say they're going to end their stake. So this is important because it's unlike other systems where if you emergency end stake and you're penalized, 60+% of that penalty goes to a developer or goes to one entity. In this case, 100% of it goes to reward the participants of the piggy bank that do time lock and do stay in for the length of their whole time lock. So that's extremely positive for people that do want to time lock and are going to follow through with their time lock. Now, we have the ability to do multiple different time locks, multiple different stakes from the same wallet at different lengths. So there really shouldn't be any need to emergency end stake, because you can do a strategy where you have one stake ending in a month, one stake ending in 3 months, one stake ending in a year, one stake ending in 2 years. That way, you should always have something coming up around the corner that you can end stake if an emergency comes up. But for people that don't take advantage of any of those utilities, that don't plan properly and have an emergency, you don't have to worry about it. You will be able to withdraw something from the protocol.
So my two last questions. That's it. Are we gonna have something in the referral page, like let's say the page of the piggy bank, where we'll be able to see who used our link for referral? So that way we can be able to create an incentive where it's like, okay, you use the link, and then I'll be able to airdrop you a stake. But like, we need like a way to measure it, like who's using the link and who's not. Will we be able to like figure that out?
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
For sure we were going to have the ability to see how much you've earned, and you can always look on chain to see
right.
who used your referral link. So I mean that can already be done. But that's a good idea to add an additional type of like mapping table to show you who
Hmm.
used your referral link. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's something we will implement.
that'll be bullish.
That's
Yeah, something
that's
simple.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That we
something
could
to implement
like
on the
we
front
could
end.
control F the page and say, okay, you use your link. Let me just search this guy. Boom. Oh, you use the link. Great. Now you're gonna get a stake. It'll create way more incentive for people to do it too. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then let me just talk about there's so much more to it. But let me talk about one additional mechanic, right? Um, we have a max payout on it, and the max payout is not it's similar to drip, where with drip there are two kinds of max payout. There's a max payout based on how much you've deposited and how much you've compounded, and you can earn a specific amount on that, at which point you're capped out. And then there's a global max payout where no one can withdraw more than 100,000 tokens. Now, the way that we're going to implement a max payout is not with a global max payout, but instead with an individual max payout. But just like drip, we're taking into account what's been compounded. So this adds another major element of sustainability to the protocol that the drip garden doesn't have, but makes a ton of sense, that we know works very well because we see it working very well in drip. And but the piggy bank and the drip garden are always meant to be a high reward structure, right? So we're not limiting it to 365 as we did with drip, but we are putting some cap on it. And this is just so people that do not continue to deposit or compound or have referrals cannot continue to earn for the whole life of the platform, right? There's a limit on their ability to drain the platform if they are not continuing to be active in the platform, but we're limiting it at 10x. So what this means is you can earn up to 10x of your principal. This is including your compounded principal, your bonus, and what you deposited, which means every time you do another deposit on top of your stake, this max payout is increased. Every time you do a compound, this max payout is increased. Every time you do a time lock for longer, this bonus that's increasing your multiplier, that's increasing your principal, is also increasing your max payout, just like drip. So as long as you're continuing to be active, and even when you get a referral bonus, this referral bonus goes into your principal, which in return increases your max payout. So it ensures that people who are compounding, referring, and depositing never get capped out on their ability to earn from the platform. Only people who basically abandon the protocol and then just use it as their thing that they're leeching every day. Eventually we'll hit a cap, but that cap is on 10x of everything that they've deposited, everything that they've that they've compounded, and all the bonus that they've made from time lockup and from any commissions that they've earned from referring. So it's not limiting at all, right? It's an extremely high ceiling, and it's a ceiling that no individual ever has to reach as long as they're somewhat active in the protocol. You're only going to cap that out if you don't compound at all, if you don't do any referrals at all, if you don't do any deposits at all. And that's important because it allows the platform to be sustainable and to continue to pay out far into the future and continue to grow. So essentially what I mean by that is, even if you have a referral, even if you have a compounding strategy where once a month you compound, and then every or even say it's once a month you compound, but every other month or every third month you claim, you're still never going to hit that max payout because you are doing some compounding. As long as you have some element of compounding or referral bonus or time locking bonus, you're never going to hit the max payout. It's literally only people that are doing no compounding at all that will never increase their cap, and eventually they will hit that cap. And they will hit that cap at when they have both earned and claimed combined 10x what their principal is. So, like I said, don't think that this means that you can only make 10x on the platform, because when you compound, when you deposit, which is really what's going to increase your APY and your dividends in the end, your max payout is increasing. So for the same reason, you can make a lot more than 365 off of drip. You can make a lot more than 10x on the piggy bank. It's just limiting people that make one deposit and then don't do any compounds, don't do any referrals, don't do any future future deposit, don't do any time lockup, and then all they do is just withdraw for the rest of the life of the system. Eventually, once they've claimed 10x what their principal is, they will be capped out. And when it comes to putting a max payout or not, this is something that I went back and forth on. So instead of having a dialectic where it's we put no max payout on it or we put a restrictive payout on it, I put a max payout on it that no one who is doing any action at all in the system, no matter how limited it is, will hit. It will only affect people who are literally only leeching from the platform. So that's another extremely bullish, sustainable and fair mechanic that we added. And it took our developments and our experience and knowledge base that we built up in Drip to know how to utilize something like this properly. And even if you look at some of the projects that came before Drip that had referral structures and had max payouts, none of them were doing it correctly. For example, they were not taking into account what was already claimed. So that just means and it was based on what your initial deposit was. So I shouldn't even get into it, because if I start talking about the issues of other projects that came before us, I'd be here all day, because when we looked at other projects that we could improve on, we realized that 90% of these projects out here are extremely flawed, and people just don't realize it yet.
Right.
Or some of them have realized them, and that's why they're dead.
So yeah, that's another thing too, guys. And anything that claims to be a Drip Part 2 and this and that and the third, a lot of those guys, they're copying the old contracts with all the damn flaws in it, and expect those guys also to have a quote unquote hack, to also have some quote unquote issues, because it's not just as simple as just copying and pasting something. There's so much work behind the scenes that's done to keep Drip as strong as it is. So you can't have this kind of success without a strong, mighty leader like Forex Shark and development team as well.
Well, it's been so much the community. I love to play my role, and I love to especially develop. But really, the thing that has taken Drip to what it is the community, is people like you, the YouTubers, the team leaders, the people that have their own groups that are pushing it. And these people are being heavily rewarded for it, so it's a win-win.
Organic everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the piggy bank. So, I mean, I'm just so excited for this. I know I couldn't be more confident that the Animal Farm, in the current mechanics that we have right now, will appreciate in price and will perform, will be high performing. But the piggy bank is going to be that trigger to just put jet fuel on it and just completely take anything that would have played out in the future and just make it play out right now, but that much stronger, because it has all of these awesome mechanics to it. I'm going to be putting out a new white paper that goes into, I'll just put a new version of the white paper. anybody that's seen how we do white papers, we always do an initial one and we keep it as basic as possible to give people basically like a pitch deck to understand it. And then we continue to update new versions that get more and more complex with the mechanics and the code and all that. We're going to continue to do that. In the next couple of days, I'm going to release a new version of the white paper that has all the information as in it now, but go deeper into the mechanics and the code. So look forward to that. Look forward to another big pig pen injection. Look forward to me really be putting the gas on the buybacks because I want to get a lot of buybacks done before a huge influx in liquidity. And, everybody, you can play your role, especially since there's a referral. So get out there and get on Reddit, get on the subreddits, get on your YouTube channels, get on even 4chan and Twitter and all these other places, and let them know. Even if it's just taking the announcements that we've made and copying them over there, so people in your specific community and the people that you have access to will see them, and let them know that you're a participant in it. Let them know about the work that we've already done, and just get people excited for it, because the more work that you put into it, the more reward that you'll see in the end, because not only are you going to see the reward through a payout through price appreciation, but also as the owner of the platform, because understand that 75% of all the BUSD that is generated, actually more than that, 75% of all the BUSD that is generated from the deposit fees and 100% of all the BUSD that's generated from taxes on the protocol go to the stakers in the pig pen. And we see that the vault that that is paying out the pig pen is continuously growing. So it started out with 1.5 million. Now it has over 4 million, and we're only like 3 weeks away from launch, and it's going to continue to grow. And what's going to really put jet fuel on it is when the piggy bank launches, and up into the piggy bank, when we start having these price appreciations, we have more capital being locked in the TVL. It's going to generate even more BUSD going to the pig pen, and we can adjust the tax rate on the dogs token, not on selling, just on buying. That will generate more BUSD divs to the pig pen. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Now's a good time to buy dogs while there's zero tax on buying, and the tax will never be high. It'll be somewhere. We're already limited to the amount of tax that we can charge. The amount of tax that we can put on, and this is by design, is between 0 and 10, and we charge 6% right now. So we can only adjust it 4% from where we're at now. Meaning we can only make it 4% higher. So it's not going to be a heavy increase, and it's not going to be any increase on selling the dogs token. But we can make some adjustment on the tax paid on buying to just drive more BUSD to the pig pen when and if needed. So I don't think that will even be needed, because just the fact that the farm as a whole, all ships will rise, it's going to generate a lot more BUSD sent to the pig pen. And we haven't even started injecting the BUSD that were generated through the collateral rehypothecation on PancakeSwap. Also, we're in talks right now with PancakeSwap to allow for lending of the drip, dog, and pig token to allow us to earn an additional TVL on those as well. And when this partnership goes through, we'll also be able to do some major lending development on the drip faucet, allowing you to take out loans against your stake. So, there's so much in the works here. And I've already gone over what's in the works for the next couple of months, but we already planned out a year from now what we want to do. And it's all very, very powerful stuff.
Oh, last thing. That's it. We're going to close it out on this one. Okay, here's my idea, because we don't want to have this limiting roadmap for the drip community or even for Animal Farm that's going to have us locked in and then we make changes. But do you think that we can have maybe a general roadmap without any dates, just to pinpoint certain things. So that way, when new investors come in, they say, oh, look, they're going to have this, they're going to have this. And these are things that we're 100% sure that's going to go down, but we're not going to put any specific dates on them. Do you think we could create a roadmap like that and maybe have a community ad competition to make the roadmap look beautiful or something?
Oh yeah, that's something we can do for sure. The reason why I'm hesitant on a roadmap, like you already touched on it, is because, for example, Chainlink just reached out to us for this partnership. If we already had a commitment on our roadmap to do something else in the next month, you know, I don't want to default on any of our commitments on the roadmap, but I also want to be able to take advantage of new opportunities if they come to me and they're way bigger than anything we have on the roadmap. So that's why I'm hesitant to make a kind of roadmap. I want us to be able to be dynamic and be able to evolve with our current opportunities and not have commitments that we would default on because something better came up. So that's, but I mean, for sure, I could do something that's a bit looser.
Like a general, like let's say, for example, we know that we're going to have some sort of faucet lending platform, and we also know that we're going to have some sort of drip insurance. That's another thing I forgot to mention. Where people have a compromised accounts because of whatever they did. We know we're going to do some type of insurance. We know we're going to do some type of lending. We can make a general title. We're going to be doing such and such lending, whatever. But we don't put nothing specific until maybe later than when we really add it towards the protocol. But we could do like a general roadmap for the new investors and new people coming into Animal Farm also.
Yeah, well, I can even do better than that because some of the things we do have dates locked in, like, you know, for the upcoming the next two couple partnerships, we know those are going to be in the next 2 to 3 months. So there are So what I most likely can do is have a like a concrete roadmap going out for like maybe the first half of the year, and then have the rest kind of open.
Yeah, we'll do another one. But let's do a competition, because all right, like all you got to do is really write the outline for it, and then we can get the community to, you know, make something, you know, glorious like they did with the ad competitions, and then we could post it on the site.
Yeah, we can do that. That's basically how I do the white papers. You know, when I do the white paper, I write out all the information, and then someone beautifies it and makes it look cool, basically. But yeah, we could do something like that for sure. So let's go, guys. You know, get out there, let everybody know what's coming up. I'm extremely excited. I'm extremely confident. Actually, I'm like an hour late for a meeting that I'm supposed to have with my two developers to lock in some things about the front end that we're doing. So I actually got to go. But next Tuesday, we're going to be launching this thing. Development's already finished. We'll have the website up before then. We'll have a more detailed white paper out in the next 48 hours. And we're going to start getting ads up, and we're going to continue AMAs and interviews. If anybody has any connections or any advice on where we should specifically be getting ads up, and a connection to put us in touch with the marketing team of any of these major platforms, please get at us. And, you know, you can fill out a proposal. That's a good way to get to us, is the proposal on the Drip site, or hit up one of the admins or BarterTown, and they'll get to me. So thank you, everybody. You know, it's extremely exciting. I appreciate you all here. We've had over 1,000 people in the voice chat for the whole life of the voice chat. So you guys are here with us, and we appreciate it.
Take care, everybody. Peace.